Discover the shocking truth behind the three worst judgments in the book of Revelation. Few knew what truly happened that night in the dark corners of a desolate land, where fear hung heavy in the air. It was a time of turmoil, the late 1st century, when the world felt smaller yet more turbulent than ever. Rome's grip constricted around the followers of Christ, stifling their hopes. Among the shadows, a man named John, exiled to Patmos, began to witness astonishing visions. Suddenly, without warning, thunder roared. The skies darkened as plagues swept across the earth. Rivers turned to blood. People screamed and trembled, hearts racing with terror at the sight of monstrous locusts, born of the abyss, relentless in their destruction. They stung like scorpions, and no shelter could protect the unsuspecting. What spirits commanded such chaos? What sins brought forth these horrific judgments? The answers slipped through fingers like sand. Glimpses of a new world order flashed before John's eyes, a stark clash of light and darkness. He saw angels pouring out bowls filled with wrath. Each filled bowl unleashed a fresh wave of suffering. Pain and despair permeated the streets. The very earth groaned as cities crumbled. Their gleaming towers fell silent. The fate of humanity hung by a thread, and revelations that night thrust forth questions that could not be ignored. In the swirling tempest of both spiritual and earthly conflicts, restless hearts pondered. Was this punishment divine or a consequence of their own making? The whisper of doubt slithered through every mind. The audience for these teachings felt the weight of each prophecy, teetering on the brink of hope or despair as the judgments poured over them. With each revelation, the fear transformed into something deeper, a profound reckoning with faith and fate itself. The tension hung thick in the air. One haunting thought remained. Were they witnessing the end, or a beginning of something far more significant? And who would emerge from the wreckage of the past, the faithful or the forsaken? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the echoes of disaster reverberated in the hearts of the people, amidst the turmoil, John found himself wandering deeper into the spiritual vision unfurling around him. The air brimmed with the scent of fear mingled with the distant whisper of hope, as if the very fabric of reality was being torn apart, only to weave anew. John gazed upon the throne in the heavens, surrounded by radiant light, where an elder rose, cloaked in mystery and dignity. The elder's eyes glimmered with wisdom and sorrow, carrying the weight of countless souls yearning for understanding. With a voice that resonated like thunder, he began to recount ancient prophecies, speaking of seals yet to be broken and mysteries yet to be unveiled. Despair not, for these tribulations serve a greater purpose, the elder proclaimed, each word punctuated by the rumble of thunder. For within this chaos, the divine is calling for reflection, for repentance, and for drawing closer to that which is sacred. In the throbbing heart of the vision, the four horsemen emerged, silhouette figures casting an ominous shadow. Each bore distinct colors and symbols. The white horseman carried a bow, appearing as a conqueror. The red horseman wielded a sword, sowing discord. The black horseman bore a scale, representing famine and scarcity, while the pale horseman, a chilling specter of death, hovered ominously, heralding a relentless fate for many today. As their roles unfolded in the celestial narrative, John's heart ached with the realization of their purpose. Each horseman revealed not just judgment, but also the fragility of human behavior and the dire choices that led to such devastation. He felt the weight of every soul that walked in the valleys of darkness and the urgency for repentance that pulsed through the heavens like a heartbeat. Visions of a world plunged into desolation spread before him. John perceived the deeper question woven within the judgments. Could this be a chance for rebirth? In the desolation, could there lie the seeds of a renewed commitment to truth and to one another? He wondered if, amid the screams of anguish, there resided the quiet prayers of the faithful, those whose hearts still reached for light. With each new vision, John grappled with the duality around him, the stark contrast between despair and hope, chaos and clarity. Could the wave of destruction serve as a catalyst for transformation, softening the hardened hearts of the nations? As the thunder grew louder and the horsemen prepared to ride forth once more, John's spirit trembled with the unfolding mystery. In the depths of this cosmic struggle, he questioned, would humanity rise above the ashes, emerging more steadfast in faith, or would they succumb to the very fears that had brought forth their suffering? And within such judgments, could grace still find a way to illuminate the darkest corners of despair? As the thunder continued to rumble like an impending storm, John's heart raced, caught between the celestial symphony resonating in the heavens and the cries echoing from the earth below. The elder, sensing John's turmoil, turned toward him with eyes that bore the depth of ages. In the shadow of judgment, my child, lies the mirror of truth. He spoke softly, yet his words held the weight of the cosmos. Each horseman carries the spirit of humanity's choices, revealing what it is we cherish and what we disregard. Judgment is not merely a decree, it is a reflection of the heart's alignment. The elder's voice seemed to weave a thread that connected John to the very essence of creation. He could feel the vibrations of the past, the present, and the potential futures that spiraled around him. Suddenly, a new vision enveloped John, drawing him into the hearts of those tormented by the horsemen's arrival. He saw a community torn apart by fear, their unity fractured by mistrust and suspicion. Yet, among them, unwavering souls emerged, the children, the elderly, and the weak, daring to reach out in love despite the chaos. They held hands, forming a fragile chain of hope, grounded in faith that transcended the darkness encroaching upon them. Notice them, the elder urged, gesturing toward the scene below. In the face of calamity, they embody the profound truth of resilience. They remind us, there is no light without shadow, no joy without grief. It is in the tension between conflict and compassion that the heart reveals its true nature. As John watched, the three worst judgments loomed before him, embodied in the forms of the horsemen. The harbingers of suffering also served as a beckoning call, a prompting for those left behind to awaken from their slumber, to confront the enmity that had silenced their cries for reconciliation. He began to understand with grave clarity. These judgments were not punishments imposed from above, but rather, consequences of choices made and unattended wounds left to fester. The pale horseman, with death as his cloak, carried a lesson that went deeper than mere mortality. John's thoughts raced toward the remnants of broken relationships, the neglect of love, and the deliberate ignore of kindness. Was it not the neglect of one another that ushered death into their midst? Did not the cycle of grief arise from sold promises and abandoned trust? A subtle warmth began to unfold within him, a seed of hope taking root in the cracks of despair. What if this moment of reckoning was not only to serve as judgment, but to awaken dormant hearts to the pressing need for healing? Would they not look upon their brokenness, recognize their transgressions, and, in the process, find a desire to restore the tapestry of lives? Yet, even as John pondered this possibility, a new thought struck him. What of those who chose complacency? What hope remained for those who refused to confront their struggles, who dismissed the warnings offered by life? Would they remain entangled in the web of their own choices, blind to the light that flickered just beyond their reach? As the vision swirled into a tempest of possibilities, John felt a tremor beneath his being. The chaos did not dwindle. Rather, it surged with an intensity that ignited both fear and anticipation. He turned once more to the elder, whose gaze held the universe's patience. Remember, dear one, the elder intoned, each soul finds its path. In the unfolding of these judgments, there lies an invitation. Will they heed the call to transformation, or will they turn their backs and allow themselves to be lost in the tumult? In that moment, John knew that the climax of these revelations beckoned exploration beyond judgment itself. The deeper question emerged amidst the chaos and clarity. Could transformation arise from even the darkest shadows, and what still lay nestled within the hearts of those who walked in fear, waiting to be illuminated by hope? The air crackled with energy, and John felt the ground beneath him tremble, as if the very fabric of reality was shifting in response to the horseman's presence. He could no longer distinguish between his own thoughts and the rising tide of voices that filled the space around him. Each whisper tugged at the edges of his understanding, sowing seeds of both doubt and clarity. From the corner of his eye, he caught a glimpse of the pale horseman, whose presence seemed to wrap the scene in a shroud of stark inevitability. Death, however, no longer appeared as a mere specter of finality. He bore the weight of countless tales forged from love and loss, sacrifice, and the gradual realignment of purpose. A flicker of understanding washed over John, illuminating the deeper truth. Death was but a transition, a passage through which souls must navigate to embrace the fullness of life. The elder's voice broke through the tumult, calm yet resonant. Seek the wisdom buried in sorrow, John. In their heartbeat lies a sacred rhythm. Each life touched by death leaves behind echoes of hope. John saw it then. The threads of connection spun through the ages. Loss had been the catalyst for many to awaken to the fragility and beauty of existence. In mourning, communities found their solidarity in shared grief, elevating love above division. As he absorbed this knowledge, the second horseman emerged, a figure cloaked in flames of strife. John observed this manifestation with growing concern. Its wicked grin seemed to thrive on the chaos it inspired, the rivalries and discord festering amongst the people. It became clear that violence, while destructive, also exposed the very heart of humanity's longings. Recognition that the struggle for peace had to ignite from within, that a question stirred deep inside John's spirit. What if strife were a mirror reflecting the internal battles waged within each soul? Was it not in these clashes that clarity might be forged? The souls ravaged by conflict incessantly sought validation and connection, yet their methods fell short, cutting deeper divides rather than bridging gaps. He took a deep breath, steeling himself against the radiant anger that emanated from the horseman. He could see it now, the people shackled to their fears, their hearts paralyzed by unresolved pain, unwilling to extend the olive branch for fear of vulnerability. What will unfold if they choose to surrender their pride? He pondered, envisioning a world where open dialogue could become the remedy for strife. Then, as if conjured from the depths of his contemplation, the last horseman emerged, a figure clad in a storm of scarcity and want, his presence casting an unyielding shadow over the land. John felt the weight of despair settle like a leaden fog around him, and he knew this horseman thrived on the anxieties of uncertainty. Those gripped by fear of loss often turned to greed, unwilling to share that which they had, feeding an insatiable hunger that only deepened the void within their lives. Could this judgment of scarcity not also reveal the bounty in connection and community? John mused over the lessons of generosity that surfaced amidst desperation. Could those languishing in want find strength in solidarity, pooling their resources, not just trembling in isolated hardship? The elder watched John closely, his eyes filled with an ancient light. Nurture your questions, child, for in questioning lies the seed of revelation, he stated gently. What will this moment forge in the hearts of those who are weary? Will they cling to fear and division, or will they rise to cultivate a legacy of love and abundance? As John stood amidst the tempest of revelations, he grappled with a profound sense of urgency. Each horseman, he realized, served not just as a harbinger of doom, but as a paradoxical call to action. Could these moments of judgment be reshaped into opportunities for awakening? What choices remain to be made amid the shadows, and how might they illuminate the path for those still searching for hope in darkness? John felt the weight of the questions pressing heavily upon him as he stood, surrounded by the stark figures of the horsemen. A shiver ran down his spine, not from fear, but from the realization that these figures were not merely agents of destruction, but potent teachers cloaked in vivid imagery. The palpable tension in the air merged with his newfound understanding, wrapping itself around his consciousness like vine around an ancient tree. As the figure of scarcity and want faded, a new presence swept in a gentle gust that carried with it the fragrance of light and warmth. This was a figure unlike the others, appearing ethereal, yet grounded, dressed in shimmering garments that sparkled even in the dim light cast by the preceding horseman. John felt an unexplainable sense of peace wash over him, softening his heart amidst the discord of the previous spirits. "Fear not, John," the figure spoke softly, its voice like the melody of a distant chime. "I come not from judgment, but from love. I am the spirit of hope, the light in the shadows, the promise that remains even when the world seems fraught with turmoil. Your journey is but a whisper of the collective path of souls seeking purpose." John listened intently, enchanted by the spirit's calming presence. But how can hope endure in the face of such darkness? The horsemen reveal the depths of despair that people experience. Do they not overshadow the light? "No, dear one," the spirit replied, gesturing to the dance of shadows and light around them. "It is within the darkness that light shines the brightest. Recognize this. Hope does not deny the existence of suffering. Instead, it flourishes in direct response to it. When despair seems insurmountable, the heart's yearning for connection, justice, and peace awakens resilient spirits." The spirit extended a luminous hand, revealing images of lives intertwined, hands reaching out to one another, communities coming together, and hearts knit in unity against the backdrop of trials. See how moments of darkness bring forth acts of courage? When fear threatens to shatter their spirits, many rise to challenge it, becoming a beacon for others lost in the storm. They awaken to the power of collective strength, understanding that together, they may withstand the tempests of life. A stirring realization struck John with sudden clarity. Perhaps the true judgment isn't in the chaos itself, but in how humanity chooses to respond. In that choice, a deeper truth reveals itself: the potential for rebirth and transformation. The spirit nodded, the warmth radiating even stronger now. "Indeed, and therein lies the essence of the journey. The horsemen may represent the trials of existence, yet they also herald an awakening, an invitation to deepen the bonds that connect all souls. In the interwoven stories of love, loss, and resilience, they catch glimpses of their own reflecting back at them." With a sigh, John reflected on his own struggles, acknowledging the moments where despair threatened to swallow him whole. What of faith and trust? He asked, curiosity mingling with rising hope. How does one maintain these when faced with such visceral struggles? How do they not succumb to despair? The spirit smiled, as though sensing a recognition of the path ahead. Faith is the quiet compass that guides through the night. It invites souls to lean into uncertainty while unveiling the truths sculpted from within. Trust emerges when one dares to relinquish control, allowing the current of life to carry them forward. Each trial provides an opportunity for growth, and from these experiences, wisdom is born. John felt the gravity of this wisdom settle within his heart, the answers wrapping themselves around his spirit like a protective cloak. Yet, amidst this enlightenment, a question remained anchored in his mind. What will it take for humanity to see these truths, to embrace hope even when the storms rage? What series of events must unfold for the light to pierce the shadows and awaken the weary hearts? As he awaited the spirit's response, a profound silence enveloped him, leaving John with the realization that some questions could only be answered through the journey of walking together within the storms. The path ahead remained shrouded in uncertainty, but with newfound urgency, he stood resolutely, ready to explore the boundaries of human experience in the search for hope amid turmoil. As the stillness thickened around him, John felt the spirit of hope entwine with his energy, as if to guide him deeper into the mystery that lay before him. "There is more to understand," the spirit whispered, inviting John to follow. The atmosphere shimmered, and they began to glide through spaces untouched by time. They arrived at an open field, bathed in a gentle twilight, where echoes of voices flitted like birds across a dusky sky. The air crackled with an electric energy. Visions of past and future danced before John's eyes. He observed groups of people scraping together remnants of joy amid chaos, sharing laughter in the face of despair, forging connections that transcended their trials. Yet, shadows flickered on the periphery, embodying the unease that lingered in their hearts. "Look closely," the spirit urged, gesturing toward a gathering of faces, weary and weathered but illuminated by communal warmth. They embody the beauty of spirit, yet they are also burdened by doubt. John focused on one man, standing apart, his brow furrowed and eyes downcast as bitterness clung to him like a second skin. Why does he remain isolated? John posed, curiosity woven with compassion. The weight of despair can create barriers, the spirit replied. He stands at a crossroads, torn between the comforts of familiarity and the risk of vulnerability. Many souls grapple with this fear, believing that embracing hope means surrendering their pain, when in fact, it is through acceptance of their struggles that they find true connection. John watched as the man wrestled with his inner turmoil, witnessing visions of all the moments he had shut others out, convinced of his own solitude. Will he ever reach out? John asked, hopeful yet apprehensive. Many do not realize that their suffering binds them to one another. It is a cycle of disillusionment and awakening, the spirit explained, its voice a gentle chorus in sync with the unfolding scene. As long as he believes he must bear the weight alone, he will struggle in silence. But when he chooses to share, to communicate his plight, he opens the door for grace to enter. The man, still in turmoil, looked up, and for a heartbeat, uncertainty mingled with a flicker of longing. John could almost hear the unspoken questions swirling in his mind. Are their hands eager to help? Can hope truly flourish even amidst sorrow? With a collective sigh, the gathered souls responded by stepping closer to him, their hearts glowing like lanterns in the dusk, illuminating the surrounding darkness. What if this man finds his voice and reaches out? John pondered aloud. Then he will catalyze a transformation, one that echoes far beyond this moment. The spirit murmured, a thread of excitement weaving through its tone. His courage could inspire others to release their burdens, creating a ripple effect of empathy and understanding. The vision shifted, and John saw countless others experiencing similar struggles, each tethered to a thread of isolation. He felt their collective sigh of longing, a universal longing to be seen, heard, and understood. But what will compel them to take that step? John wondered, feeling the weight of their uncertainty. Each person must confront their own truth. Sometimes it takes a moment, a single act of kindness, or a flash of recognition to ignite the spirit of hope, the spirit said. The journey is not linear. It flows like the tides, revealing hidden paths among the shadows. What often remains unchecked is the willingness to lean into the unknown, to risk vulnerability, and to trust in the unseen support surrounding them. As John absorbed these revelations, a sense of urgency ignited within him. But what will spark that initial act of faith? What pain must be acknowledged before the hearts can awaken? He questioned earnestly, realizing that the answers were enmeshed in the stories of all humanity. The spirit remained silent for a moment, allowing the weight of the inquiry to settle in the air before John. With that silence came an invitation to reflect, to dive deeper into an ocean of unspoken truths. The dawn of understanding was imminent, yet it hung tantalizingly out of reach, shadowed by the need for further exploration. And as John stood enveloped in this profound mystery, he was left with a lingering thought. Could it be that the very act of questioning, the unending search for connection amidst despair, held the key to transforming obscurity into light? As the twilight deepened, a gentle breeze began to stir the air, carrying with it echoes of whispers, unseen voices speaking of struggles and aspirations. John felt a sense of urgency ripple through him, yet he remained grounded as the spirit of hope beckoned him onward. There is more here yet to unfold, the spirit suggested, its voice soft but insistent. They moved through this field, touching the edges of consciousness, wandering into a cluster of souls who sat around a flickering fire. John could see their faces illuminated by the dancing flames, with shadows beckoning from the corners of their eyes. Here, their laughter mingled with tears, creating a tapestry of life that shimmered with nuances unrecognizable at first glance. Look, the spirit murmured, guiding John's gaze toward a woman cradling a small child, her face a blend of joy and weariness. Her dusky eyes sparkled with love as she narrated tales of resilience, her words weaving a blanket against the chill of uncertainty that surrounded them. Yet every now and then, a shadow draped over her heart, bringing forth doubt. What burdens her, even in this moment of connection? John asked, studying the subtle dance between her joy and her pain. The duality of motherhood carries its own weight, the spirit explained, weaving a deeper understanding through John's mind. She loves fiercely, yet she worries constantly for her child's future. Questions hang in the air, unasked. Will I be enough? Will my love shield them from a world fraught with pain? As John listened to her words, he saw flashes of her past, the struggles she faced, the moments when love felt like a burden rather than a balm. Will she ever find peace in her love, a way to trust that her fears can coexist with her hopes? He wondered aloud, feeling the tension twist like vines around his heart. Trust is a pivotal companion in her journey, the spirit replied. But first, she must confront her fears and acknowledge the beauty in her vulnerability. It is through these cracks that the light of understanding can seep in, nurturing her spirit. The flames flickered as John processed this, aware that countless souls were swept up in similar battles, wrestling with the weight of their own identities. As he looked around, he felt another profound question pressing upon him. What would it take for her to embrace the notion that imperfection does not diminish her worth, but rather enhances it? The spirit smiled softly, its presence like a soothing balm. Sometimes it is through the act of sharing stories that healing begins. When she speaks her truth, she can connect with others who carry the same burdens. Therein lies the strength of community, the understanding that no one walks the path alone. John felt the energy shift around him, the vibrancy of the gathering igniting a shared pulse of compassion. He turned his gaze back to the woman as the night deepened, the flickering light of the fire casting shadows that danced like whispers of hope. If she finds the courage to voice her fears, could it not shatter the barriers that keep her isolated? He asked, the weight of his own longing for connection surfacing within his heart. Indeed, the spirit affirmed. By daring to reach out and speak her heart, she may not only alleviate her own despair, but also inspire those around her. In embracing vulnerability, she ignites a chain reaction of authenticity, a concert of spirits finding solace in their shared journey. As the woman tenderly shared her story, John felt a stirring within him, a blend of empathy and yearning to understand the depths of human experience even more profoundly. Would the stories of isolation and hope spill forth like a cascade, allowing the hearts burdened by despair to recognize their intertwined destinies? The shadows shifted around him, and as he became lost in this contemplation, a new question arose. Could it be that the act of sharing one's truth is the first step towards transforming isolation into unity, crafting a community where every voice, spoken or unspoken, plays a vital role? As the fire crackled and the stars blinked overhead, John felt an electric charge in the air, a sense of impending realization. The woman's voice rose and fell like waves upon the shore, each word a thread stitching together the souls gathered around her. Her fears, once a heavy cloak, began to lift as she spoke, and John sensed the energy shift. One by one, the listeners leaned in, eyes alight with understanding. Each of us carries a story, the woman declared softly, her voice trembling yet resolute. A collection of joys and sorrows that shape us. I feared to share, afraid that my struggles would burden others, but in speaking, I find I am not alone. Her gaze pierced the darkness, meeting eyes that reflected her own journey, echoes of grief, laughter, and resilience. John felt the spirit of hope beside him, whispering in the winds of the night. This is the beauty of vulnerability. It creates pathways to connection. What happens when one voice breaks the ice? Let us watch the ripples. As if summoned by her words, another figure stepped forward, a man whose weathered face was lined with experience. You are not alone, he said, his voice gravelly but warm. I too have watched my children stumble through life, burdened by my own fears of failure. His admission hung between them like a bridge, extending reach after reach, inviting others to cross. With a nod from the woman, he continued, we toil under a weight of expectations, worried that our love may not be enough. Yet in that fear, we often forget that love, when shared, finds its own way to flourish. John sensed a shift in the atmosphere, an invisible thread pulling souls closer together. One by one, they began to vocalize fragments of their own stories, each revelation illuminating the shadows that enveloped their hearts. As laughter mingled with tears, John marveled at how raw truth pulled forth a healing balm. What once appeared lonely and isolating was now stitched into a collective tapestry, vibrant and alive. The Spirit whispered again. Here lies the essence of community, John. The realization that no fear need remain unvoiced, that each story contributes to a larger narrative of resilience. It is in embracing vulnerability that they reclaim their power. As the fire blazed higher, illuminating the souls engaged in this communion, John's curiosity deepened. If vulnerability is the thread weaving them together, what is the fabric that will bind them as one? He pondered quietly, observing how their shared laughter echoed like music into the night. Understanding and compassion, the Spirit answered, revealing the delicate tapestry that held their collective stories. But first, they must explore the darker corners of fear and acceptance. Will they accept the possibility that every imperfection makes them beautifully human? Or will the shadows of self-doubt continue to weave their stories apart? At that moment, a hush fell over the gathering. The woman looked around, her gaze inviting stillness. Let us not carry our burdens alone. In every shared word, we lighten the load for one another, she cried, with a heart emboldened by the warmth of community. A tear glistened in her eye, a promise of truth yet to be spoken. With hearts brimming with unvoiced anxieties, the circle shifted, and the air thickened with anticipation. John realized that their stories were far from complete. They stood at the precipice of a deeper revelation about what it meant to be fully human. What might emerge if the hesitant voiced their struggles, honest and raw? Would this create a resonance strong enough to embolden those still hiding in the shadows? In that quiet, whispering moment, he felt a stirring in his own soul. Could it truly be that in sharing their truths, they might unearth a community that thrives not on perfection, but on real, flawed humanity? As the quiet enveloped the gathering, an uncanny calm settled within each soul present. John watched their faces, illuminated by the flickering firelight and marked by a mosaic of emotions: hope, fear, revelation. Here amidst those who dared to be seen, he pondered the deeper truths waiting just beneath the surface. The woman's voice broke the silence. What if our stories are not just for our comfort, but meant to challenge one another to brave the storms life casts our way? What might we discover if we ventured into the darkest corners of our hearts together? Drawing a breath filled with newfound strength, she began again. For years, I closed off parts of myself. Fears of judgment kept me bound. I believed my story was too vulnerable, too messy for the world. But in this moment, I feel a weight releasing. I am compelled to share that hidden chapter, the grief of losing my child. The confession was met with a stillness so profound that even the crackle of the fire seemed to fade. John could feel the tension surging through the circle as hearts echoed with their own hidden pains. The shadows lurking within each person began to flicker like the flames, threatening to break free. And then, the man with the weathered face chimed in, his voice steadier now. I too have borne the loss of a child, a burden that twisted my heart and nearly shattered my spirit. It felt as if the world could not understand the depths of that sorrow. But in sharing, I not only find solitude in the shared pain, but I invite healing into our lives. Understanding seeped through the collective consciousness, and one by one, others spoke of their struggles, a cautious exploration of vulnerability expanding like the ripples in a pond. Someone shared the pain of abandonment. Another recounted the grief of lost dreams. John watched as each story painted a deeper picture of what it meant to thrive amid anguish. As the stories unfolded, the spirit of hope lingered near John, offering insights like gentle nudges. See how each voice, tender yet powerful, seeks to forge connections? In the light of shared sorrow, they find strength. Could you grasp what binds these stories together? John reflected on that deeper inquiry. Each revelation uncovered raw humanity, reminding the gathering that vulnerability was not a weakness, but rather an authentic power. They were reminded, too, that suffering, though dark, could be a passageway to profound connection and unfathomable compassion. That he leaned closer, emboldened by the Spirit's whispers. What if acceptance, not just of the joy but of the aching holes in their hearts, becomes the true fabric of their community? Could they embrace each facet of their stories, both light and shadow? At that moment, an elder woman who had been quietly listening spoke up with voice soothed by years of wisdom. In my own journey, I learned that our stories, even those tinged with pain, are sacred. They are deserving of space and respect. When we acknowledge our vulnerabilities, we reclaim lost parts of ourselves. There was a stirring throughout the circle. A movement toward acceptance was palpable. As they exchanged stories filled with both light and darkness, it became clear that each person was striving for a deeper understanding of their own narrative while entwining their life paths with others. Yet, amid the warmth of connection, John felt the lingering question hanging in the air, like a suspended note waiting to be resolved. Are they ready to embrace the notion that healing does not come from silence, but is born from the courage to share and understand? What new dynamics can arise when they not only voice their fears, but also extend hands to lift each other up? As the fire danced wildly against the night's embrace, the circle of honest voices continued to grow, weaving hopes, fears, and wisdom into the fabric of their lives. But for every echoed story, a question remained. In daring to unveil their truths, would they cultivate a fortress of support, or risk being met by the judgment they so feared? As dawn broke over the horizon, a soft light began to wash the darkness away, illuminating not only the earth, but also the hearts that had been stirred through shared truths. John stood surrounded by both the visions and the palpable energy of those gathered in a circle of connection and community. The air was thick with possibility, impulsing purpose and renewal within each soul. Each flicker of the fire now reflected the raw emotions recently unearthed. Their confessions had stirred the very essence of humanity, revealing that pain, when shared, could tenderly weave a tapestry of strength. John felt the spirit of hope by his side, radiating warmth and understanding as though waiting for the moment of truly powerful realization. As he contemplated the night's revelations, deeper questions emerged within him. What if the essence of true transformation lies in the courage to walk alongside one another in vulnerability? What if their collective pain was not an end, but a beginning, a crucible for rebirth? He took a deep breath, feeling the collective energy of connection pulsing around him. What if we trapped ourselves in a cycle of doubt and fear, thinking that our struggles make us less worthy when in fact they grant us access to a deeper unity? The spirit of hope illuminated the air with a soft glow. The threads of humanity, John, are intricately woven from shared struggles. When individuals dare to peel back their facades, they expose not only their scars, but also their strength. It is a powerful reminder that they are not alone. John observed the gathered souls again, each one holding the weight of their stories, yet now vibrant with a sense of purpose that threaded through their hearts. The elder woman, who had spoken of sacred stories, whispered once more, "We must confront our fears and embrace our humanity. The light shines brightest in the shadows we most avoid." With her words, John's heart raced as he recognized a pivotal moment. "Let us forge forward together," he suggested, voice steady and vibrant with conviction. "Let us not merely share our burdens, but also cultivate a space where all feel encouraged to seek help, to lift one another, and continue this path of discovery." The atmosphere shifted, and John could sense anticipation crackling in the air. One after another, the souls around the fire nodded, determination blossoming in their expressions. Hands reached out, grasping each other's, binding the circle tighter, collective strength swelling through the shared contact. "I too have felt unworthy and alone," a younger voice emerged from the group, breaking the tension. "But perhaps it is time to lean upon those around us not as a sign of weakness, but as a testament to our courage. Each wound carries the potential of healing, and together we can mend what's broken." Together, echoed the whisper of many voices, intertwining like vines climbing toward the sun, affirming their newfound commitment to vulnerability and mutual support. John felt an overwhelming surge of hope welling within him, realizing that their journey was blossoming before his eyes. "Now we understand," he proclaimed, "that while judgment may dictate fear, acceptance cultivates love. Each interaction can ignite another's flame. Thus, in these moments of connection, we craft a revolution of kindness, born from shared suffering and collective healing." As the first rays of sunlight pierced the horizon, illuminating their circle with golden light, a profound stillness settled upon the gathering. In that silence, individual struggles transformed into a collective narrative, a blossoming tapestry stitched from courage and authenticity. Each soul had rediscovered their truth, sharing not just moments of despair, but the balm of hope and the promise of growth. From this metamorphosis arose a realization that transcended the confines of their gathering and echoed into the larger world. In joining hands and hearts, they appreciated the beauty found in their collective experiences. It was a dazzling revelation, a ripple poised to travel far beyond their circle. Insight that would resonate with others yearning for connection amid adversity. Suddenly, John was drawn back to the elder, who stood silently observing from the periphery of the vision. A glimmer of approval sparkled in the elder's eyes, as if he understood the weight of the transformation that had taken place. The journey you have forged here shall not remain hidden, dear child. As they step back into the world, they carry a mantle of light freed from fear and eager to sow the seeds of love where shadows linger. With a heart now aflame, John implored, "What is the most profound truth they must remember as they venture forth?" The elder smiled, nodding in acknowledgement. In every struggle, there lies a profound invitation to join hearts, to cherish vulnerability, and to revel in the dance of both joy and sorrow. These souls carry within them the insight that they have the power to embrace the light and find their way, and that faith will be both the compass and the map. As the first light of dawn embraced them, John sensed the heartbeat of humanity resonating through the circle, an echo that would ripple into the world, awakening spirits weighed down by isolation. The light carried forth from vulnerability, spreading hope into the shadows, reminding all that they need not walk the path alone, for they were made to share and heal together. And thus, their collective journey began anew, propelled not by fear, but by the promise of transformation. Each individual was called to witness their stories intertwining, a testament to faith ignited in the barren lands of despair, and in that awakening lay the most powerful revelation yet, that even amidst the darkest shadows, the light of shared humanity would forever guide them toward love, connection, and unearthly resilience. In the solitude of their journey and the vibrancy of their connection, they remembered together they were stronger, and together they would illuminate the way.